Joining me now is my very good friend and the author of the brand new book, American Muckraker, which is shooting to the top of the bestseller list. If the New York Times bestseller list were actually accurate and they didn't censor conservatives, I'm sure it would be up there. But my good friend is also the founder of Project Veritas, James OKeefe. And James, we were just talking before the program how so much seems to continue to happen in between our conversations, and you were telling me that just last night there was a FOIA request that revealed something very interesting. What can you tell us?
Well, Tom Fitton from Judicial Watch filed a Freedom of Information request into the Department of Justice and discovered that documents existed. This is the DOJ, which never acknowledges, by the way, the existence of this information. That's what Tom told me, but acknowledged that there have been communications between Pfizer and the FBI about me, which is wild. I mean, it's crazy. First of all, it's wild that they would be doing that, and second of all, it's wild that they would acknowledge that they are doing that. This comes, of course, on the heels of the FBI raiding my apartment in November and taking my 2 phones. I have not been charged with anything, but that was a result of the investigation where a source transmitted to us Ashley Biden's diary. We did not publish that diary because I could not confirm that it was, 100% certainty confirmed that it was hers. And you know, this is wild, and this is what this new book is about. It's about truth-telling in the digital age. It's about the powers that be, to quote David Halberstrom's book, and it's about ethics and privacy and deception and undercover work and how journalism has transformed from what it once was, which was challenging and questioning and being skeptical of those in power, to coordinating and collaborating with those in power. And we live in a world, for example, where the New York Times, the FBI, and big pharmaceutical companies are all communicating with each other to try to shut down and, I guess, effectively incarcerate journalists. That's the world we live in, and this book is about how to deal with that.
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to reading this, and I think everyone should. And, you know, my background and major actually in undergrad was in journalism. And, you know, back in the day when we actually had clips and that portfolio that, you know, you'd have the hard clips from newspapers. I mean, that's kind of the era that I grew up in. And the cartoon that I saw that best reflected exactly what you're saying, James, it was a podium where obviously it was a government official who's speaking to a crowd of American citizens. And you have a journalist then that, you know, their back is to the crowd, they're the line of defense asking the questions, and then it says now where the journalist is facing the people and is parroting what the official behind him is saying. And I thought that was a brilliant picture of exactly what you're describing, and it's so amazing to me how big tech is able to censor and get away with all of this. In the midst of your investigation of Dr. Fauci, you've even had the 2 Twitter accounts, Eric Spracklin, as well as the Fauci account that was suspended on Twitter. I mean, what is your plan to push back on this, and what's in your book for people who want to be good journalists to learn?
Yeah, there's a chapter in this book. About the history of the medium. You know, to quote Marshall McLuhan, Canadian philosopher, "The medium is the message." And I've always believed that content is king. What does that mean? It means that the story is strong enough. If you have first-person participant observation journalism, meaning that you don't trust me to give you the information, you can see for yourself the primary source information. In journalism, there's always been this dichotomy between access and autonomy. In other words, you have a source, you have someone inside the government you're working with, or you're too adversarial to your source, you're too adversarial to your subjects, and therefore you cannot get information. And it's a delicate balance. And these days, that meme that you're referring to, which is an amazing meme if you haven't seen it, the journalists have become so cozy with their sources that they're supposed to condemn the high and mighty rather than extol them. And the reason why we use hidden cameras and whistleblowers is because we're not so conflicted, you know. And people are more honest when they do not know they're being recorded. The documents you referenced last week inside the Department of Defense were given to us. They were buried, Jenna, on a top secret share drive. And that's really the biggest story for me, is that they wanted to cover this stuff up. They didn't want people to see it, but those documents were given to us, sent to us, I'm protected by the Supreme Court case of Bartnicki v. Vopper. For those not familiar, it's a seminal case authored by John Paul Stevens in 2001, and it says that a journalist has a right to publish information even if that information was stolen, so long as I did not participate in the theft of that information. It's an important thing, and by the way, newsrooms do it every day. The difference is that we are publishing information with Dr. Anthony Fauci that they do not want published. I'm sure that they don't want that. Now, some people in the government, good people, I think there are a lot of good people on the inside of the Department of Justice, and I know that because we have sources now inside these agencies. The Marine Corps major who wrote that document, Jenna, was not our source at the Defense Department. The Marine Corps major fellow at DARPA. But what he did tell us, and he told this on the record to me, he gave a statement when we reached out to him for comment, is he said there are a lot of good people inside these institutions, and they're trying to do the right thing. They're trying to reform it on the inside. And so there's that side of journalism, but there's also what I think is the most exciting part of this book, some amazing stories, one chapter called Insiders, where we talk about the whistleblowers. And whistleblowing, that is to say, you are betraying the organization which has betrayed you. It is an incredible thing that's happening in this country. There's a lot of people that are ready to do it. We have a story coming out next week involving such a person as a follow-up to the Anthony Fauci story. I think that government is broken. To quote Charles Murray, government is in an advanced state of sclerosis where solutions are completely beyond the legislative process. Elections go back and forth, the pendulum swings, the country's divided. But the way to forge consensus is through exposure of this information. And if you don't believe me that consensus is not possible, I look to November 6th, 2021, when I was raided by the FBI. You had the ACLU, the Reporters Committee, the Society of Professional Journalists all defend Project Veritas. And you would have thought I was a crackpot if I told you that was going to happen a few weeks prior.
Right, but it's great to see the rallying of journalists and those organizations coming to your defense, because that's so important to keep that autonomy, as you said. And there is a difference, James, between revealing the gross underbelly of what government wants to hide from we the people versus really collusion and coordinating with leaks, for example, of key things and things that the government just wants to use journalists to get out and shape their narrative. And I think Project Veritas does a really good job of not being in the pocket of any of the government or having any sort of narrative, just publishing for the people to see the truth for ourselves.
Well, I love that you brought up the idea of leaks. People say, well, don't you publish leaks? Well, there's a chapter in this book about that, and I actually put it this way. I say, I quote Daniel Boorstin, the Librarian of Congress from the 1960s, and he said that leaks are effectively a form of a press conference. And it's usually the leaker, the person, for example, in the government, or the person in power, that is manipulating the reporter. It's usually the person who's manipulating the reporter, not the other way around. So it's a really delicate balance if you want to tell the truth. Because I think the what's paramount in journalism is to tell the truth to the audience. People attack me for using what they call deception. Oh, you lie to people. Well, I only have two choices. I can tell the truth to the audience, or I can lie to the audience. And sometimes in order to tell the truth to the audience, you have to dig deep. You have to use disguise. You have to present yourself as something you're not in order to elicit the truth out of the subject. And this is a really difficult thing. This is not an easy thing to do. I don't think they teach this in journalism. I don't know what they teach in journalism schools. I believe in what Mike Wallace said, you learn more on the job in 3 months than you do in journalism school. But I think this is a handbook. This book is a handbook for people who want to do it and don't know how to do it.
That's fantastic. So the book is called American Muckraker, and you can get it wherever books are sold. And also, James, in the last few minutes we have here, Project Veritas is having a great event in Miami coming up next Saturday, January 29th. I'm going to be there at the Whistleblowers Luncheon. Looking forward to coming to the after party. So great to look forward to seeing you all there. So people can go and register for this event. So it's my understanding that the Whistleblower Luncheon is sold out. But if people want to join that event, also want to support you, where can they go for this great book preview?
We still have a few tickets. You make a donation to Veritas on the website, projectveritasexperience.com. That's projectveritasexperience.com. January 29th, Miami, Florida. We have a few tickets left for sale. You make a donation, you'll get an access to the venue. And it's going to be at the Fountain Blue Hotel in Miami Beach. And we've created this whole, I don't know what to call it. It's like a musical. It's like Hamilton meets Project Veritas, where we reenact and show through the years of our journalism, our fights, our struggles. It's really something else, and it's very original.
But will Lin-Manuel Miranda be there?
Maybe he will. Listen, the ACLU defended me. I never thought that was going to happen. So I would not be surprised.
Well, Lynn, if you're listening, this is your invitation right here.
And the book is number 8 on Amazon currently. It's climbing, so we appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you, Jenna, in Miami on January 29th. ProjectVeritasExperience.com if you want to get tickets to this.
Great. Looking forward to it, James, and keep up the good work. And of course, I support you, and any American who cares about the truth should be supporting Project Veritas. So thanks so much for your time, and I'll look forward to speaking with you soon. And who knows what's going to happen in between now and the next time we chat.
Every
So
day
see you
something
soon.
develops. Okay,
Absolutely.
see you next time.